By 2026, human civilization has become entirely dependent on a constant stream of energy to function. It runs our transport, our hospitals, and the massive AI data centers that define the modern economy. Global demand for this force is rising faster than ever, growing by more than 4% every year. Because it is so central to our lives, we often treat electricity as a human invention, something Benjamin Franklin or Thomas Edison created from scratch in a laboratory. But electricity is a natural phenomenon. It existed as terrifying lightning for billions of years before the ancient Greeks first observed a strange static effect after rubbing pieces of amber in 600 BCE. The history of electricity is actually a 2,500-year engineering war. It is a story of humans attempting to physically trap, scale, and distribute a wild natural force by breaking through a series of massive physical bottlenecks. The first bottleneck was capture. For centuries, human-made electricity only existed as instantaneous, uncontrollable sparks. Even the most advanced storage devices of the time, Leyden jars, could only hold a charge for a moment before it vanished. This changed in 1800, when Italian scientist Alessandro Volta developed a way to produce a steady flow. Volta stacked alternating layers of zinc and copper, separated by electrolyte-soaked cardboard, to create the first battery. This chemical reaction forced a continuous stream of electrons through a wire. This constant current provided a reliable, predictable energy source that researchers could finally use to power machines and experiments for extended periods. However, batteries faced a second bottleneck: scale. While chemical reactions work for small devices, they cannot produce enough energy to power an entire city. Overcoming this required a shift from chemistry to mechanics. In 1831, Michael Faraday investigated the specific physical relationship between magnetism and electricity. He demonstrated electromagnetic induction. By moving a changing magnetic field near a wire, he could physically force an electric current to flow through that wire. This principle allowed electricity to reach an industrial scale. By using steam or falling water to mechanically spin a giant turbine, engineers could generate massive amounts of current for the first time. Faraday's generator provided the physical foundation for mass production, making the widespread use of electrical power a reality. By the 1880s, Thomas Edison was building the first central power stations to distribute this energy to paying customers. But he hit the distance bottleneck. Edison's direct current system could only travel about a mile before electrical resistance turned the energy into useless heat inside the wires. Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse countered this with alternating current, or AC, which used a different mathematical approach to transmission. This diagram shows the math involved. By using higher voltage, engineers can decrease the current. Because heat loss is determined by the square of the current, lowering that current allows electricity to travel over long distances without wasting energy as heat. AC transformers made this possible, stepping the voltage up for efficient travel across hundreds of miles, and then stepping it safely back down for use in a home. This broke the distance barrier, allowing power generated at remote sites, like Niagara Falls, to successfully reach and electrify cities dozens of miles away. By the mid-20th century, the mastery of AC distribution meant electricity could flood into homes, creating a new standard of living defined by labor-saving appliances. Generation continued to grow, eventually using the heat from nuclear fission to spin the turbines and meet the needs of a booming global population. But this massive 20th century grid was rigid. It was a one-way system built to push power from fossil fuel plants to consumers, but it lacked the flexibility to adapt to changing conditions. By 2025, the system began to shift as renewable energy reached 34% of global generation. This creates a new bottleneck. Renewables are intermittent. The sun sets and the wind stops, which creates a mismatch between when power is generated and when consumers actually need to use it. We are now entering a new stage of electrification, overcoming the storage and intelligence bottleneck to manage this intermittent power. The modern grid is becoming a two-way ecosystem. While giant battery facilities store excess solar power, AI systems dynamically balance the supply to meet demand, even when the sun isn't shining. Even electric vehicles are part of this network, acting as mobile storage units that can feed energy back into the grid when needed. However, the work is not finished. Despite centuries of effort, an estimated 730 million people still lacked access to basic electricity in 2025. The history of electricity is an ongoing effort to build an intelligent, clean infrastructure that provides reliable, affordable power to every community on Earth.